When you're out buying comic books, you might want to make sure that you can get them home in great shape and without much damage. In this video, I show you what I do to ensure that my comics survive the trip home from the comic shop safely. You'll want to stick around to the end to see which comics I picked up from my local shop today and how I brought them home. Welcome to my channel. My name's Ryan Dagley. I'm a comic collector and I help you get into the hobby of collecting comics without breaking the bank. Today is Wednesday, which means that new comics are hitting the shelves at my local comic shop, and yours. In most cases, comics will be out on shelves loose and unprotected. While I'm not the most gentle collector out there, I do like to keep my comics in reasonably great shape. So today I've got 5 tips to help you keep your comics in great shape while you're picking them up from the shop. My first tip takes place before you even leave for the comic shop, and that's to ensure that you've got clean hands. You'll want to make sure that your hands are oil-free when you're touching the covers of comics, whether it's your comics or the other comics at the shop, because these things can smudge the covers, and if you want to keep your covers looking brilliant, you'll want to make sure that you're just not touching them with dirty hands. For my next tip, you'll want to be mindful of how you're handling the comic in the shop. You want to make sure you're not bending it, folding it, and that kind of stuff. But most importantly, you want to make sure that you're paying attention when you're taking it off the fixtures. You'll see that in a lot of comic shops, the new comics are going to be loose and in a stack. You might want to find a variant in there and you could easily topple over that stack and have the cover slide and cause some damage there. Just be mindful of that while you're looking through them. In other fixtures, you'll see that a comic is just slid into it from the top, and with those, while it keeps comics in great shape, you want to be very careful about how you're taking it out of the fixture. At my local shop, they've got some signs there to help guide you with that, so just keep that in mind if they've got similar at yours. The third tip on the list is bags and boards. Most shops will do this for you, but bags and boards are essentially a plastic bag that you put your comics into with a thicker paper board in the back, and this helps to keep its structure not only while you're transporting it, but this is the standard way of storing comic books. You'll see in a lot of shops that back issues already have bags and boards. In the case of my local shop, they charge me 25 cents to bag and board new issues. Some shops don't do that at all. Others charge a little bit more, others charge a little bit less. Either way, I think it's worth it every time. Alright, tip number 4 is to use pull boxes. With a pull box, you set up a list of titles or maybe even artists that you like, and your local comic shop will pull those comics off the shelf and put it in a box for you for whenever you can visit the shop. In most cases, the comic shop will bag and board your comic for you, making it a lot easier for you to pick up a protected comic from the shop and take it home. In some cases, really cool shop owners will also hook you up with variants if they know that you'll like it, and they'll drop that in your pull box for you. So that's definitely something worth checking out. And my 5th and final tip is my big secret. I use something called a Storefolio, which is like a rigid box that fits comics pretty perfectly. I'd say it probably fits about 10 to 12 bag and boarded comics, and since I have to drive to and from my comic shop and there could be missiles or alien invasions or just regular traffic, I like to put the comics in here because it keeps them from rattling around and getting beat up. And since today is New Comic Book Day, I used my Storefolio and bags and boards to bring home new comics. Let's see what I got and let's see how well they held up. So this Storefolio has a magnetic cover and it opens like that. I've got an older one that also has a Velcro lid. Either of them work just fine. If you're unable to get your hands on a Storefolio, most comic shops will put your comics in a paper bag just like this one. While these are fine, they don't offer the same level of protection. In a lot of cases when I do get comics like this, I feel like I have to hold them in this way to get them home with less trouble. And the comics can pull out easily like this. So for this week's new comic haul, I'm most excited about this cover of Shang-Chi #1. We've got him in his different forms here, and that blazing lotus flower behind him. Very cool design here. Next up, from the pages of Conan is Iron Shadows in the Moon. Now, I'm not much of a Conan reader, but I am trying to put together a collection of pinup style risque covers. Let me know your favorites in the comments if you have any suggestions. Next is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Best of Splinter. This cover is simple, elegant, and really in-your-face neon pink. So what do y'all think of my choices? And maybe more importantly, What do y'all think of the Storefolio? I think they did a pretty good job at keeping the comics in great shape. I've been using them for years now. I've seen other types of backpacks and other boxes that hold comics, but these ones, they're the perfect form factor for me. I could get it to and from the shop. I could go to cons without looking like that guy with the giant box. So these ones really fit. They're not too expensive. I highly recommend them, but they also need bags and boards on the inside. If you have any tips for bringing comics home from the shop without damaging them, let me know in the comments below. This is a great hobby and we could all enjoy it a little bit more by sharing some information. Thanks a lot. If you like this kind of content or if you found it helpful, give me a like and consider subscribing to my channel. I do unboxings, book reviews, and I really cover a lot of topics that help comic collectors either get into the hobby when they're new, or I also help returning collectors enjoy their hobby a little bit more. Well, I appreciate it, everybody. Thanks a lot.